This video is spoiler free and will only show stuff that either happens at the very beginning or that has already been shown in the trailers. The casting of Frank Stone is set in the Dead by Daylight world, but it's a standalone single-player game made by Supermassive Games. The game takes place in a fictional town called Cedar Hills in northwestern America. The story jumps between two time periods, 1963 and 1980. In 63, which is basically the prologue, it starts with us investigating a missing kid at a steel mill, which, to keep it spoiler-free, sets the stage for later by turning into this dark serial killer story, which then turns into an even bigger and even more threatening story, because around 17 years later, by 1980, a bunch of teenagers, these are, by the way, our main characters that we are going to play, are making a Super 8 film about these old crimes at the abandoned steel mill. The mill is a big part of the game. It goes from being this active, fiery place in the past to this creepy, overgrown place later on. The developers are trying to make the story feel realistic and personal, like something that you could actually see happening, but with some mysterious elements that you can't quite explain. As for the gameplay, it is a choice-based adventure game, but don't worry, the camera doesn't cut to incredibly weird angles, like it was the case in Until Dawn, for example. It seems to be a normal third-person perspective, so the gameplay aside from the cutscenes likely consists of exploration and a lot of quick-time events, especially for the chase sequences, and you choose different places to either run to or hide in. Describing it as an interactive movie probably isn't too far off. Needless to say, your decisions change the story and can get characters killed if you're not careful. The game also has quite a few Easter eggs and references from Dead by Daylight, and the game is designed so both newcomers and fans can enjoy it. An interesting implementation here is the cutting room. This gameplay element actually isn't available from the get-go, which makes sense, since it's basically a tool that lets you revisit key story moments, or simply the moments you enjoyed the most. It's also useful to find missing collectible items, so you can do all that without having to start a new game. This cutting room is unlocked by completing the game for the first time. Another thing we have seen is the 8mm camera, which, according to developers, can be used to identify invisible presences that are stalking you. The cast is pretty diverse, so some interesting relationships between these characters are pretty much a given. This game uses a ton of motion capture and pretty impressive technology for the characters' movements. You should be at least a little bit into teenage drama as well, because there will probably be quite a bit of that emotional rollercoaster stuff. As always, I tried to keep this as short as possible. If you think your time was respected, then a like is appreciated, my friends.